Massachusetts voters decide in a special election Tuesday who will fill John Kerry's Senate seat. And they're getting a lot of advice from national figures. Democratic Congressman Ed Markey, with 37 years in the House, is running against Gabriel Gomez, a Republican businessman and former Navy SEAL and a political newcomer. Can Gomez pull off the same kind of upset in the heavily Democratic state that Scott Brown did in a special election in 2010? And Gabriel Gomez joins us now from Boston. Congressman Markey declined our invitation. Mr. Gomez, according to the latest Real Clear Politics average of recent polls in Massachusetts, you're running well behind Congressman Markey. He's at almost 52%. You're at 39%, a margin of 12.5 points. There's a new poll out today that shows you trailing by 8 points, but whatever the margin, it is a big deficit. How do you turn that around in 48 hours?
Oh, we can definitely win, Chris, and I'm confident. See, our message is resonating among independents, Democrats, Republicans. His message is very narrow. It's a very narrow sliver of the Democratic Party. We're getting people to have a reason to vote for me, and Congressman Markey has probably done the most misleading, egregious campaign in trying to paint somebody that I'm not, and he's trying to scare people because, A, I think he's scared, and he doesn't want to talk about his record. And in the end, people are going to come to the polls because they're more enthusiastic about voting for me as opposed to voting against somebody else.
But why, at this point in the polls, is he leading by somewhere between 8 and 12 points?
You know, these polls move all up and down all over the place, Chris. Bottom line is this election is about putting people before politics. And Congressman Markey's had 37 years down there to get things done in terms of immigration reform, comprehensive tax reform, entitlement reform. I'm just asking in the special election, give me 17 months, and I will keep my word. And I don't need 37 years like Congressman Markey's had. And that's the message that's resonating over the last week here. And that's why I'm confident on June 25th, in 2 days, that I'm asking the people to vote for me, that we'll be successful on Tuesday.
Well, you have just crystallized your main argument, and I want to ask you about it. That's what you say, that Markey has been in Congress for 37 years. You say he's been ineffective. He obviously debates that. And you say give you 17 months, which is the amount of time left in John Kerry's term, and you'll get big things done. But you would be, if you're elected, just one of 100 members of the U.S. Senate. How are you going to break the gridlock in Washington single-handedly?
Chris, if a Navy SEAL can talk a Peace Corps volunteer into marrying him, I think I can work with anybody. I look forward to working with President Obama. I look forward to working with Senator Warren. I look forward to working with all the senators and the congressmen down in D.C. I've been bipartisan my whole life, and that's the problem that we have down in D.C. right now. We have such a high level of cynicism, fiscal mismanagement, and hyper-partisanship, and the issues are so big right now that we need to go down there, reach across the aisle, respect the other side, and get things done. And that's why our message is resonating among not just Republicans, but independents and Democrats, and it's a clear choice between me and Congressman Markey. He's had 37 years to prove that he can do this, and he's not succeeded in that mission. I'm mission-focused. I'll succeed in this mission.
You talk about hyperpartisanship. Markey's main argument against you is that if you win, you're just going to be another vote for the Republicans in the Senate. Take a look.
They want and need him in Washington in order to advance a radical Republican agenda.
In a liberal state where the GOP agenda is not all that popular, where do you differ from most Senate Republicans?
See, Congressman Markey wishes he was running against somebody else, but the reality is he's running against me. I disagree with the Republican Party on a number of issues. I believe in gay marriage. I'm for the immigration reform bill. I also think that we need to have more, I'm a green Republican. I believe that there's global warming and that humans have had something to do with that. I also firmly believe that we need to have this expanded background check, the Toomey Manchin bill. I'm ashamed that only 4 Republicans voted for this bill. And I think the NRA is completely wrong on this bill. There's a lot of areas that I don't agree with the Republican Party on. And again, Congressman Markey wishes he was running against somebody else other than me.
Well, you say that you're for the expanded background check, but in fact, one of the issues, perhaps the issue that Markey has hit you hardest on, is gun control. Take a look.
My opponent opposes an assault weapon ban. My opponent opposes a ban on the high-capacity magazines that attach to those assault weapons that turn them into weapons of war.
So that's his point. Yes, you may be for the expanded background check, but you're against the assault weapons ban, the magazine, high-capacity magazine ban, and according to the polls, most Massachusetts voters disagree with you on those.
Right, but this is like an example of Congressman Markey not knowing how to solve the problem. In order to solve the problem, we need to ban all weapons from the wrong people. And that's what's going to make our communities, our schools, and our kids safer. In order to do that, we need to pass the expanded background check and tie it to mental health. And the only one of us, too, that can go down there and actually get more Republicans and conservative Democrats to vote for this bill so we go from 54 to at least 60 is me. He's never had a history of reaching across the aisle. I can go down there with the experience as a Navy SEAL, the credibility to go down there and get more Republicans and conservative Democrats to pass this bill, because that's how we're going to get our communities, our schools, and our kids safer. That's the problem we need to solve.
Back when John Kerry left the Senate in January, you wrote a letter to the Democratic governor of Massachusetts, Deval Patrick, in which you asked him to appoint you to the Senate on an interim basis. And on gun control and immigration reform, you wrote this: I support the positions that President Obama has taken on these issues, and you can be assured I will keep my word and work on these issues as I have promised. The question, Mr. Gomez, is how could you promise that when you opposed the ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines that President Obama was very much pushing at that time?
Sure. When I wrote that letter, I was raising my hand like a Navy guy that I've been my whole career. I want to go down there and volunteer and serve the people of Massachusetts. And I am for the immigration reform bill. I want to make that group of, right now it's a group of 8. I want to make it a gang of 9, and I hope Senator Warren joins me and makes it a gang of 10. And on the background, on the gun control, I know that the problem that we need to solve is making sure that we ban all weapons from the wrong people, and that's what the Toomey Manchin bill does. I want to go down there and make sure we pass that when it comes back up for a vote, hopefully later this year.
But I do have to ask you, at the time that you wrote that letter, President Obama was, this was long before Toomey Manchin, was very much supporting the idea of a ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. You wrote and you promised, you assured Governor Patrick that you supported President Obama's positions on those issues. Was that true then, and you've changed your mind, or wasn't that true?
No. What I meant in that letter was I support his overall position on getting comprehensive immigration reform done and gun control. And in gun control, solving the problem is making sure we ban all weapons from the wrong people. And that's what the Toomey Manchin bill does. Like I said, I'm ashamed that only 4 Republicans voted for that bill. I want to go down there and make sure that we get more Republicans and more conservative Democrats. That's what I meant. I want to make sure we solve these problems and get the right solution down there, as opposed to not solving the problem.
According to one recent poll, your unfavorable rating in the state of Massachusetts is 33%, which isn't bad, but only 34% have a favorable opinion of you. And I guess my question is, as a successful businessman, as a former Navy SEAL, as a Hispanic, why have you had such a tough time making the affirmative case for Gabriel Gomez?
I think these polls move up and down, Chris, and I know that when we go out there and we meet the people and we get our message out there, people are very enthusiastic, and they're not just Republicans, they're independents, they're Democrats, and that's why on Tuesday, June 25th, where I humbly ask people to come vote for me, they're going to come out there and they're going to show that there's a reason to vote for someone as opposed to against somebody, and I'm confident that our message is getting out there. Like I said, these polls move up and down, but I know we're going to win on June 25th because we're giving the people a reason to put the people before party and politics. And I just need 17 months to go down there and do the job for the people that they want us to get done.
It's been suggested that if you lose on Tuesday, that it might not be all bad for you, that you would have gained tremendous name recognition. This is your first race. You'll have gained a lot of experience in campaigning and debating and all of that, and that you would be well placed to run again. Question, win or lose, will you be running again for office in Massachusetts?
I'm confident we're going to win, Chris, but as a famous general once said back in World War II, I shall return. And I know that a lot of people are very excited about our candidacy, and more people can continue coming to our candidacy and helping out if they want to go to www.gomezforma.com. And I'm confident between now and Tuesday, we're going to close the gap and we're going to be successful on the 25th.
Well, as you say, I shall return.